for joining me. In episode 1, we asked, who defines identity? Who writes our history? Today we go to the source, to the slopes of Mount Kenya. My story begins at dawn, orange sun rising, snow-capped peak glowing, African birds singing. As children, our feet soaked in dew as we walked to primary school, the soil that nurtured me. Mount Kenya was not scenery, it was a sacred presence. Our ancestors believed that Ngái, the one God, rested on that mountain. Sometimes the urge hit me to raise my hands up in the air, like our ancestors did, and shout and chant, Thai da Yagai Thai, Thai da Yagai Thai. As I grew older, questions surfaced. Relatives whispered about Mĩcii Mĩkuru, old homes, our supposed homeland in Israel and Abyssinia. At first, I dismissed it as folklore, but they commented on my features, my hair, my complexion. You resemble people in Abyssinia, they said. My grandmother, Shosho, as we called her, was a force. She was a beautiful woman, yellow complexion, curly white hair, and her prayers that lasted, at times half an hour. She faced Mount Kenya, invoking Ngái, Mwene Nyaga, and ancestors, our forefathers, Mwangi na Yurugu, Mwangi and Irongo. Any interruption when she was praying meant swift consequences. She was Catholic, but I grew up Presbyterian because that's the school that I went to. When the missionaries arrived in 1840s, they had renamed us Kikuyu and replaced the indigenous worship with Western Christianity. By 1963, when Kenya obtained independence from the British colonizers, much of our heritage had been eroded. But the Bible, when I read it, surprised me because there were parallels. The more I read, the more I found parallels with ancient Israel. Purification rituals, naming customs, family structures, sacrifices and blessings. And this parallel forced me to question, what if the so-called folklore is actually censored history? I was the youngest of 5 in my family. My father worked in Nairobi. He was intelligent, sharp, and a trade union leader in his company. He once got fired for defending workers' rights from their British masters. His co-workers walked out until he was rehired. Identity isn't just inherited, it is asserted. My mother ran the farm, managed livestock, and held the home together. This episode shows that identity is lived before it is questioned. We rewrite history by speaking the truth aloud. If this resonates with you, stay with me as we continue this journey of reclaiming our identity and rewriting history. Next week, we will explore chapter 3 of my memoir, The Mystery and Disruption of My People's Heritage, where the threads of colonization, Mau Mau resistance, and historical silence converge. Until then, I will leave you with this question. Who were your people before the world renamed them? What stories have you read or have you been told that you question? What did you read in history books that was written by the British or your colonizers that you question? Have you talked to your parents or your grandparents or your relatives about the stories that they heard when they were growing up, about your origin, about who you are? Do you know your identity? Do you know your history? And what if the history that you knew or you are told is not your history? Please join us, join me as we continue with this conversation, as we continue to write our own history, to tell our history, to tell our stories, and to reclaim our identity. Please write a comment in the comment section below and let us continue with this conversation. Join me every week as we talk, as we have these conversations, as we as Africans and any other group that has been oppressed or whose history has been written by somebody else. Let us continue these conversations. Let us continue with this awakening of who we really are. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.